name is Anastasia, and I am honored to be here today with Ron Allen.
Hello.
Ron Allen is currently surviving eMK-ULTRA torture. This is an ongoing issue for him, and we're going to talk about what that means. Ron is the author of a book about his experience called 21st Century eMK-ULTRA Slave, a vintage transhuman tale, with a fantastic cover. And that's you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
5 years old.
Yeah.
And 5 years old was a pretty important time for me in the eMK-ULTRA aspect, so it's apropos that it's on the cover of my book.
Well, yeah, and you've got this like specter, you know, kind of overshadowing you, which I think any eMK-ULTRA that's worked with kind of the men in black is gonna relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, so keep this going here. So, Ron Allen has survived astral abduction, psychic rape, coercive, torturous training and grooming, forced clone experiences of murder and sexual assault, stealth intrusive implants during surgery, holographic abuse, and much more eMK-ULTRA related torture-based mind control. And so let's get a framework, if it's okay. When were you 5 years old? When did this start for you?
Well, 1953 is when I was born.
Okay.
And my father was United States Navy, and he was a radar innovator, which for him meant he was being groomed for bigger and better things. And it's come to my knowledge that what they do, they being the powers that, whether it's corporate or U.S. Navy or CIA or those that shelf of people, they look toward the people that they're grooming, and they entice them in different ways and give them benefits. My father climbed right up in the ranks, and 2 of his sons were given to the eMK-ULTRA program. And so when I was 5 years old, it was 1958, my father was flying into hurricanes and with a B-17 and a Super Constellation. And you know, that was a long time ago. You can figure that they've done quite a bit of experimentation and work with hurricanes in the last 60 years. But the experiences for me, because I don't remember when I was born, I know that I was given to the hospital when I was 10, for my first 10 days. But my memories of dealing with the U.S. Navy infirmary situation started when I was 5.
Yeah, I just think about infirmary versus experimentation and torture lab.
Yeah.
Right, but they call it the infirmary. So.
Inferring that I was sick, infirm.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
No, they were the sick ones.
Yeah.
That's right. So, you've been through a lot for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, well, and as is often the case with this, it isn't until you're in your 50s, 60s, and things like that that these images and dreams, you know, like telling dreams and memories start coming to the surface.
Yeah.
And it was no different for me. It was in my 50s I started seeing in my dreams the doctor that was dealing with me, and just other occurrences that I had to start getting on the internet, doing all the research to come up with the actual hospital, the actual doctor. Wasn't able to find the nurses that I was looking to see who was taking care of me, but yeah, that so between the age of 5 and the age of 52 or something like that, I really didn't have any memory of anything that I could, point at to say that this was an abuse. There was, if you look at my life, you'd see that I was reacting like a abused person in the amount of drugs, the alcoholism, the not being able to have a good, honest relationship. Those things that are pretty prone to people that have been in an abusive life. And but I didn't have any memory of what transpired when I was a child, which is when this happened.
So we just were out for dinner and you told a couple of stories, and I was wondering about that because of course other people who may not have memories but they have tragedies in their families, and then sometimes we put the pieces together and think, oh, maybe that was that. So would you be willing to talk a bit about kind of when you tried to tell your mom and what that was like, and then with your dad?
Yeah. Much of what took place was I was one of 4 sons, no daughters, and my second oldest brother as well was in the eMK-ULTRA program, and he's the one that brought it to light for me, because he was older when he was going through it, and he realized what was going on. I was younger, I didn't realize. And so he was acting out and getting in fights and being thrown in jail and going to mental institutions and things like this, and I never really knew why or how that was affecting him, what was affecting him.
Yeah, troubled child kind of a thing.
Yeah.
He got labeled as a troublemaker maybe, and no one understood what was at the root cause of his anger.
Well, we can say no one, but at the same time, it's parents that enroll you into these programs.
Yeah.
And my mother was taking me, not the other brothers, to each of the a mental institution or jail to get him out of, or the different things that he was going through. And I'm not quite sure if she was trying to, from her perspective, keep me from being bad, because she knew that I had the same background that he did with the eMK-ULTRA program. Like it's something that could be fixed or avoided if somebody was to know that, or see other people going through things. You don't want to go through that, so I'm taking you to all these places, and you can be witness to you know, the trouble that you get into.
Like a warning or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is really backward thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure it was
You know?
scary for you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, enroll somebody in a program and then, you know, try to talk them into being affected by it.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah. Kids are going to be affected by it. Like,
right.
So you tried to tell her.
Yeah, so there was, and my brother died, he completed suicide after several attempts when he was 26. And my parents died when they were in their upper 60s. But what was telling about that was they were in an accident. They had they were going on a trip, and I don't know, maybe as much as a week before that, I told my mother that I had been hearing voices, and she got so irate. And I don't know if she was irate at me or irate at what she figured was why I was hearing the voices. But the veins popped out on her neck, and she got so angry. I had never seen her that mad. And she looked straight at me and she said, "Are you hearing voices?" And I was afraid. I didn't know what to say at that point. I said no, and you know, turned the page as fast as I could. I didn't see her, you know, I didn't see it coming. So a week after that, my parents are going on this trip, and I stopped over to say goodbye to them. And my father was sitting out on the patio in a chair, and so I sat next to him, and we're talking along, and he tells me that he was given LSD, not with his permission or his knowledge. And you know, he had several times chances to tell me that previously. I was one of those people that ventured into drugs, and mostly psychedelics, and that was, you know, I was no stranger to LSD, mushrooms, or the whole lot of that. And when he told me that, I was shut-mouthed. I didn't know what to say, or why he was saying it.
Yeah. Why did he tell you that right then?
Yeah.
Because that's a big reveal.
It was a huge reveal.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like 30 years before that or something.
Yeah. And then what happened after that?
And then, you know, within 2-3 days, they were dead. Yeah. And, you know, the accident was in their Chevy Suburban. And, you know, it was said that the one of the parts on the steering was broken, but I didn't see it, you know, and what I saw was a car that was in perfect condition. And for two people having died in this supposedly, you know, accident enough to kill two people, the police had roped it off to be a crime scene when it first happened. Their bodies were under their, you know, where you put your feet in the vehicle, and you know, in going to the funeral, I walked right by the caskets. I didn't want to look, and my oldest brother came up to me and he said that our uncle wanted me to go in and see the bodies, and you know, I'm dutiful to my family. I went out and I looked at their bodies, and they had been pieced back together. It wasn't a pretty sight at all. Their faces and bodies were very broken up, and the mortician was doing the best that he could, but it was hard to tell that they were even human.
I'm so sorry. That's horrible.
Well, it was. I'm thankful in one sense that my uncle made me do that, because otherwise, I might believe everything was fine.
Yeah,
And
you got closure.
yeah,
In that way.
it was not fine.
No.
So anyway, that's a suspect situation, and all I can draw from these situation with my father's reveal, my mother's getting angry, and the bodies being broken like they were, and the car being fine, is that it was there was it's quite possible my parents were going to go public with the eMK-ULTRA, and they were murdered for that. That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, it's happened to a lot of people, a lot of good people who were about to go public or did. So I just want to honor your courage to go public like you have and write your book. And, we had a prayer before we started, and you were adding, like, this is for service. This is to be of help. That's why we're doing this.
Right.
So.
And that's why I wrote the book.
Huh.
It wasn't for fame and glory. It was to make sure that the word is getting out there.
Well, and you put the word slave right on the cover.
Right.
That this is still going on. This is
Yeah.
not something that happened decades and decades ago. This is still maybe a nightly occurrence. So let's talk about what this means. So what happens to Ron at night to this day? Ron goes to sleep at night, usually in his vehicle. He travels around. Another vehicle parks near his vehicle. Two men either drive their vehicle close to him, or they approach carrying what we believe is a portable SQUID device. We'll talk more about this technology, but it's approximately 4 foot long, and they can actually attach it to his vehicle while he is sleeping. The men seem to be military contractors operating this close range technology. And when Ron enters REM sleep, the men use the device to somehow draw in his astral body and capture it. So we have a Hollywood rendition to try to just kind of consider what this could look like. It's of course not accurate, but maybe it draws the mind to what we're talking about here. So that's from the original Ghostbusters movie, and when I stopped this video, there was kind of a shot with Bill Murray there that I thought was interesting. It's like, is that a signal of what they're actually showing? And mocking and laughing at us, as always, with Mockingbird Media. So what is a SQUID? If you don't know what a SQUID is, SQUID is an acronym. It stands for Superconducting Quantum Interference Devices. They are highly sensitive. Now this is just from ChatGPT, so this is what is widely released. Highly sensitive magnetometers used to measure extremely weak magnetic fields. In the context of electromagnetic energy, SQUIDs can detect subtle changes in the electromagnetic energy field, making them valuable tools in various fields. They're used for mineral exploration to detect signals generated by conductive bodies or conductance contrast in rock materials. This has been used in commercial for over a decade. It's led to several discoveries. It's also used in biological and medical applications. This is used, it says, such as those found in the human body. This has applications in biomagnetism, including the study of brain activity, heart function, and gastrointestinal processes. It's also used in geophysics, material science, and quantum technologies. Quantum sensors for detecting magnetic fields, with potential applications in geophysics and other fields. So, as we talked about, there's lies and withholding. Sometimes what's omitted is the damaging part. So we're just looking at what do these devices do that's not covered when you're doing research about it. What are the secret applications of this? Well, we believe that Ron has been the victim of a very significant one. And a portable SQUID device may look similar to this. This is not a picture of the one that's used to capture his astral body. That's what we're talking about. A device that aims at him, detects and captures his astral body, and somehow traps it. And
Yeah, so this is similar in size. I saw two men picking one of these up from the back of a SUV. I was staying in a hotel room, and I walked out the door because I heard some commotion. And these guys are taking this thing. It's in a kind of a leatherette case, and it's that size, and it's extremely heavy. They were able to carry it by just the two of them, but it looked like it would have been a four-person job if the people were there. But so what I hear at night is I'll be sleeping along and I'm going through synthetic dreams. I was living in Costa Rica for 10 years and Mexico for a year and a half before that. And when I got back to the United States, all this other stuff started happening. And this wasn't down in Costa Rica. I was having natural dreams. Now they're all synthetic. And what I hear when I awaken is a armature, like a motor that's winding down. And it takes a while for it to turn off. And so there are times, a lot of times, where I have to tell them to turn the machine off because I'm awake. And it only, they're after my astral body that is available in REM during my sleep. And this machine does no good, no harm, just annoying listening to it when I'm awake.
I wondered if it hurt or anything.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No. And so, that depiction from the Ghostbusters is, we're trying to get a handle on how this actually, works. Getting to the point of knowing that it's your astral. You see or hear people talking about they were in a hospital having surgery and they rose above their body and they could look down and see the doctors and themselves on the operating table. Well, that's your astral leaving your body and looking down at you. And this is that, but how do they capture it? How do they utilize it? I call it kidnapping.
Yeah.
But how, what technology and who? You can say CIA, US Navy, and some of the bigger corporations or NGOs, that they've turned it over to the private industry because they are putting me through these dreams where other people come in as viewers. And I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Inception, but it's kind of like that, where there's an architect that comes up with the dream, and then the subconscious of the subject, me in that case, fills it in with the content. I've got memories of childhood, of friends, animals, surfing, girlfriends, amorous situations that are brought into this in my dreams. And, being that there's synthetic dreams, there's somebody that's, utilizing that, whether it's for somebody else's pleasure or, they're training me to be, what they want me to be, or it's somebody that is, just wanting to know more about my past, and hashing over what I thought about something or whatever. They're all in there, in those dreams.
Oh,
I see all that stuff.
so invasive. I mean, it's just,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, ugh. Okay. So this is abuse in the astral realm. That's what we're talking about. Astral abuse. It's real. So what are astral body abuses more specifically? So we talked about this. So you mentioned that you have surfing experiences.
Yeah, I've been a surfer. I'm not currently. My body doesn't go there, but I went down to Costa Rica and lived there for 10 years surfing, and all through California, and been to Ireland doing it as well. But what these dreams are is radical surfing, in other normal situations, but the radical ones, I think somebody that has been a surfer themselves is in on the architecture or the the person that's helping with the script of my dream. I have seen waves that are pitched so steep that I have to pop a fin and surf down this wave, and it's hairy. It's hairy in my sleep, and it's not a memory.
So I was going to ask you, like you mentioned earlier, doing drugs. So I'm sure viewers might be wondering if you use drugs, and that might be influencing your experience at all now.
No, no more drugs.
Okay.
No more drugs.
Okay. So other kinds of intrusive or forced experiences related to the astral are, you talk about like little girls showing up.
These are not sexual dreams, but they're, and I don't really understand what's going on with that, but these are children that I've never seen before, and they are, clothed. They're fully clothed. It's not portrayed as a sexual thing. It's simply, visuals of little girls, and I don't see the same one often, and I don't see but a few, and then it's over. And this is the part where I think what's going on is that they're trying to embed in my mind certain things, whether they're trying to turn me into a pedophile, or they're trying to get me used to, going in that direction, because I see it, I see a smile, a warm, friendly face, and, so I'm not real clear on what that is, but,
It does come up.
yeah,
Is it ever little boys?
rarely.
Rarely, okay. You also talked about forced sex, which is rape. Men absolutely can be raped, and for others, enjoyment, and then waking up frequently with an erection, and just how intrusive that is.
Yeah, I wake up usually at least 2 times a night, and this is going on now at the hotel as well. But I have to like prop myself up and to calm things down, and I go through a counting system, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, until I feel safe to go back to sleep again. And another thing, this has never been and some of these get very, if I remember, and I don't remember, generally speaking, that what brought that on, but if I have a situation where I do remember, and the sexual content of that dream is taken to the extreme, but I've never had a wet dream doing any of these. And to me, that is a little bit odd. I mean, it doesn't make sense. But it's been so long since I had a wet dream. I don't know, maybe that's something that stops after adolescence. But what I have to surmise is that somebody else is getting their jollies, that it's taken to that point by a male that's a third party in this, the guy with the machine or the architect or the whatever, that are enjoying it, and so they are able to get a visual, a virtual, it's got to be hooked up to a computer where they're watching what I'm dreaming, and so it's a virtual pornography thing that they can script while they're standing there.
Well, thanks for your willingness to talk about it, because as we spoke earlier, what I imagine is you're not the only person going through this, and yet how do you even find words to know what it is, or that it's intrusive, it's something outside yourself that's kind of hyper sexually stimulating you, it sounds like, in an unwelcome way, artificial, that's, so thank you.
Well, the surfing is kind of a welcome thing. I kind of like that one.
Okay.
But I detest the sexual ones. I've heard a woman, there's some clairaudience that I experience as well, and I've heard a woman, say, "Please leave me alone."
Oh.
And so this is the astral, and her astral is being attacked, and they're using my astral to do that.
Like an astral puppet, or like you're being an astral puppet.
Yeah.
Being used to maybe rape someone else in the astral, or
right.
I mean, it's just, it's awful to think about. Just.
And it depends on how sordid these individuals are, to what extent it goes to.
Yeah. You also talked about, and we'll get into this next, how in addition to kind of astral experiences, or kind of almost like, surfing that gets really exaggerated, or you talked about also the transfer of your consciousness through this machine into a actual clone body of you. So
I want to go there.
yeah, we're going to talk about that
Okay.
too. Okay, so
All right.
so I want to talk about two types of clones, and this is information it's been shared to me on a Telegram channel called Walkers Among Us, and it's the best source I've seen on cloning information. So replication cloning is described as clones of original people. They start off life as an actual baby, and they go through the entire gestation process, 9 months, similar to natural born human beings. But they may be in a pod, they may be grown in a pod. Here you have some of the designer DNA babies. And replication cloning can be achieved through surrogacy, where a woman is implanted with the embryo containing the DNA of the person to be cloned. Or replication cloning can also be achieved through the use of artificial wombs. And then there's the term remakes, which is applied to cloned people from the past. So they get this DNA and they clone people from the past. So another kind of cloning is duplication cloning. This is the second method where the DNA from the person is grown in a tank. It involves a method of regenerative technology where the cells are agitated, and in approximately 5 months, a fully formed duplicate clone body of an original is developed. It is necessary to have a tissue sample from the original or the cells from women's pap smears. An example, the tissue, this tissue has rich cells to make duplicate clones. They then agitate the tissue and it regenerates. This is regenerative technology. And again, a fully formed duplicate clone of the original is produced in 5 months. And I personally believe that the cloning business is absolutely huge, big business. And I believe that this connects to the PCR test, looking for our DNA, why they had to get so many people tested. That's a concern that I have. I think this is way bigger than we realize. There's a video called How to Grow a New Fingertip from Dr. Stephen Badalak. It was made from the Science Channel in 2014 and Carmichael 2013, which discusses how scientists cloned a mouse from a blood sample. This is another example of drip feed disclosure. So we're getting information so far past when they've had so many advances besides what we're hearing in the mainstream mockingbird media. So with Ron, we're talking about abuse by forced insertion of his consciousness into a cloned body of him. And maybe a regenerative clone. They probably if they're using these clones for various things. So we're talking about, why would they do this? So it's remote, that you came up with the term remote clone abuse. Remote clone abuse. Why do they do this? Well, for money is one thing we're speculating. If people are having entertainment, maybe they're paying for it. If you have heard of this book, Donald Marshall, Empowerment by Virtue of Golden Truth, Human Cloning, specifically REM-driven human cloning, full disclosure. This is from October 2015. So again, it's not that this news has not been reported by anyone else ever. It's just been suppressed from mainstream consciousness. So Donald Marshall talks about a revolution. We're going to talk about that before we stop today. But you have told some very harrowing stories of remote clone abuse that you recall. For example, an unwitting murder, assassination of a Chinese man, and there was even an article in the newspaper after it happened that you found that you believe was connected to the man's death.
Yeah, it was an article on the murder.
So can you talk about that?
Yeah, okay, well, first off, I have had these dreams where there are tons of people, like 100 people or something, in these underground caves, and their hands are, on their lap, and they're no expression on their face, and all their eyes are open. And it just, I've seen that several times, and this reminds me of people that are turned off, clones that are turned off.
They look like people, they're humanoid.
Yeah, they're exact people. I mean, they are people, and they're sitting there. So, I'm in Salem, Oregon, and I've got a motorhome, and I'm asleep in it, and I wake up and I hear these voices, and there's like 4 or 5 people, and they tell me that, and I'm awake, this isn't a dream, they tell me that they're going to investigate me about a crime. And, I know my thoughts can be read, understood, heard, and okay, what? And they said that somebody was murdered, and they were wanting to investigate me in relation to that case. And
are you like lit? You're in bed, like
yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're hearing this? Okay.
Yeah, I had awoken from a dream or something, and and then all these voices are talking, and the person introducing it was very factual, wasn't angry or anything like that, and just explaining that they were going to investigate me in my sleep as to whether or not I was involved with that crime. And so this is another thing that happens when I'm asleep, is that my dreams, my life, my thoughts, my way of thinking is all under investigation. And so they're going to look into this, where I was, and did I do it? Do I have memory of it, or whatever, in my sleep? And when I wake up, I hear this one person say, a man say, I know it was him. I saw him. His DNA was at the scene. He's the guy that did it. Well, I had a dream about killing somebody right at that time, whether it was the night before, probably so. But what happened was, there was a guy standing next to me. There was all I saw was the neck of this elderly gentleman, and I was pressing my fingers into him, and I had been told that he was a bad man, and that this is going to save lives by doing this, and whatever. But I could feel his esophagus as I was being pinched off, as I was driving my thumbs into his neck. And after a while, the guy standing next to me said, "You can stop now," and I did. So in this investigation, when the guy is saying, I saw him, I know it was him, his DNA was there, they didn't have much discussion between themselves other than that, and then they were out of the hearing range, and these 3 other individuals that were introduced as CIA, FBI, and NSA were in a discussion with me, and you know, I was awake, but in my thoughts, they were corresponding with me, and some words were spoken by the other two, but the CIA man said that the Chinese man had done something wrong, and it was determined that he needed to be killed. So I was put into a situation there that I can't see it any other way than my astral was put into this clone, giving him life, sending him on a mission with a handler, saying, kill this person. And I did, or the clone did, using my astral.
Using your puppeted astral. Did you see what your clone looked like?
No,
you didn't see that it looked
No.
like you, but they said your DNA was all over the scene or something.
Ask me that question when we talk tomorrow night or whenever about the follow-on video, because there's something significant to that. It
Okay.
just wouldn't fit in.
Okay, so we're gonna do we're gonna do at least one more. We may do two more because there's so much content here and it's very groundbreaking, at least to me, and important. So, all right, we'll come back to that question. Another story you talked about was a horrific forced murder cannibalization experience of a man who turned out not to be dead, but you didn't know that at the time. So can you tell that story? And
I apologize to the people watching this about the subject matter, because you know, I can only tell you what happened to me, but I understand the way that it must sound for you, and I wouldn't want myself to be sitting in your chair right now. Well, this time I did see my hands. Of course, I saw my hands on that guy's throat. But I was in the middle of a dream, and this is the astral scripted dream, and I'm eating a human, and it hurt me to my soul. I could taste it's a terrible, terrible taste, and you know, I've never tasted it before, I've never tasted it after. I just knew that it was vile when I was doing it, and it was, you know, very hurtful to me. And, you know, I was with my hands, you know, picking up pieces of flesh and eating them. And then, and this I do believe was a clone of me. And then this guy comes walking in to retrieve me, and I look up at him and I go, what, you know, I'm sitting here eating you, we're eating you, I was with other people, how can you just walk in, you know? And so to me that means that we either had knowledge of or were involved in his murder, and then, yeah, of a clone, right? You gotta like follow that along all the way through here, that and we were eating that clone, and I suspect it was cooked. I have no idea. And the guy, when I said, how could you be standing in front of me, we're eating you, he just brushed off that comment and picked me up, and we walked off someplace, to uh, where they take clones to go to sleep or something. I don't know.
So, thank you for sharing that, even though I know it's awful to revisit, let alone tell others, and we'll put a trigger warning on this video, and yet I feel,
Yeah, get your children out of the room.
yeah, I feel that truth is medicine though, like, as I've said before, it's a bitter medicine, but if there is a massive clone industry that we don't even know about or consider, and then we're considering it, and we're considering what are being done with these clones, what are clone ethics. I mean, certainly cannibalism is never okay, so, the horror for you, and so, this is an example. If this is being watched or you're there with other people, you are the entertainment, like, you're being used, it's not okay.
Or ritualistic. I just, I don't know
Yeah,
how far this spreads out.
yeah, we don't know. And this question of why you comes up. So we've talked about this, I have a theory, but I'm curious, why do you think you are chosen in this way?
Well, the MK-ULTRA is easy. My father was being groomed for bigger and more important jobs, and they take the people that are the children of those people that they're grooming because they want to, they feel that there's something special being the prodigy of the people that they know, or something
Prestige.
special.
Yeah, prestige.
Yeah.
In the
So-
Navy, you're talking Navy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the U.S. Navy. So, that's kind of easy that I was chosen for the program because that's what they do, taking children of who their brightest stars. And so, but in terms of the clone and the graphic dreams and things that I'm going through, I'm not real sure. I'm not. I just, it might have something to do with my psychic abilities, that I could be, easily duped when I'm in an astral, REM mode, or they're trying to, pick their people so that they can learn more about it, so that they get all the situations in front of them before they roll it out in a massive.
So, yeah, I see that about the things they were testing on us as kids, then they're just doing that to prepare to roll it out on everyone.
Right.
So, I also have a theory, and it has to do with the fact that, and I know you get a little shy when I talk about this, but my experience of Ron is he's an incredibly lovely and sweet person. And I believe that one of the things that cause certain boys to be targeted, and girls too, is their very high vibrational, sweet, I'm going to say Christic or, Christ-like nature, that they had a lot of high spiritual vibration, and that because of that people who are at great densities, incredible injury and sickness, are seeking to steal or corrupt or otherwise reenact kind of negative, manipulative rituals or abuse onto people they perceive as very good or angelic like, or so that I suspect that. So
Either as punishment or test cases so that if they run into it again, they'll know what to do. Mind you, I was taken at birth. My mother didn't even look at me. And my first 10 days were with the hospital specialized, it was during the Korean conflict, I believe they call it now, but it was, mind control was big at that time. That was the fear from the Korean soldiers or the Chinese that they would be doing mind control on the prisoners, and they had there was a psychological or a psych ward that I was assigned to that the main thing that they were looking at was what phantom itch was. And what phantom itch is when your arm gets blown off in the war and your elbow itches. How could your elbow itch if it's not there? The whole arm is gone. So they were, it was all about psychological, what does the mind do? And so that was my introduction to this life.
okay, thank you. So the next image is going to be familiar for many. It's from the movie Clockwork Orange, related to eyelid immobilization. And we're talking about this issue of desensitization, and really it's so far beyond that. What we came up with, you especially, is that this is damaging to the soul. That this desensitization or soul damage can lead to a loss of our sense of humanity. And I called it, instead of dissociation, maybe we should call it dissoliation, because it's the fragmentation of the soul, and that's by design, and it weakens us. And just how horrific, again, these experiences, we can't pass them off as just, it's just some, it just happens at night, it's your dreams, it doesn't matter. It really does matter. So do you want to say anything more about that, or does that cover it?
I think that covers it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do want to make the comment, we're talking about soul and clones, because I've been meeting lovely people in my work with SOAR Global Coaching and Consulting, or SOAR Global Media, who are realizing they actually are clones. And they were perhaps designer babies, they're maybe older next gen eMK-ULTRA soldiers who are getting free. And taking the fiction out of science, trying to make sense of the magnitude of this. But one thing that I know is true, and I sent this to a friend of mine, humanity is what humanity does. Soul is proven via behavior, not state of birth. I would not call the clone humans I am meeting soulless. If clone humans don't start out with souls, they can absolutely reclaim them. I believe this. This is a relief. Maybe human DNA plus courage plus love magnetizes soul. And, looking around the world, we can see plenty of people that may have been born in the natural way who seem to have lost a lot of their soul. They're acting in very soulless ways, very uncaring ways. So again, clone ethics, and this question of if indeed this is a huge issue that we didn't realize, what are we going to do about it? What is ethical? We certainly have to stop these invasive, commercialized or otherwise intrusive kinds of astral abuse. It's not okay. So moving into solutions, these are some things, you talked about turning off the mainstream mockingbird media and questioning authority. Speaking up and speaking out like Ron is doing today, and has been doing with his book. personal meditation of intent, self-protection. So I do kind of a force field of love twice a day, a meditation. I do it in groups. We've done it together, just really setting the intent of non-intrusion. And then buying Ron's book. I put that first, but it popped up last. So yeah, get this book. You can get it online and
Amazon.
yeah, Amazon. Okay.
And it has what we've been talking about is in there, but you know, many of the other situations that I've been confronted with, it's a deep dive. It's an easy read. I have been told by the people that I know that it's difficult to read because they know me.
Yeah, it hurts. But
yeah,
that's, I mean, compassion, and that's
right.
good.
Yeah,
That people can have empathy for, because you're still going through it.
yeah,
So it's,
very much.
you know, it should be shocking. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can mobilize for
Yeah, but
solutions.
The reason I wrote it wasn't for fame or glory or money. The reason, and it's very reasonably priced so that you know, it can be afforded. It's a 16 whatever dollars, but you know, and you can get the virtual copy as well. But the reason that I wrote it is to get it out there.
Yeah.
There's so much that's going on that is under the radar and we don't know about it. And, you know, the nightly news isn't talking about it, and, you know, they don't have comic books to tell people, or, you know, for the most part, there aren't videos that you can watch that, you know, are, you know, saying that this is going on.
Yeah.
There are people that are being subjected to this, and guess what? It's coming to a town near you.
That's right. Yep.
So.
More solutions, prayer. Bringing in the higher vibrational intent
Yeah.
and calling for help.
Yeah.
Loving touch.
Yeah.
Gratitude. Have you noticed a difference if you were sleeping with someone else versus sleeping by yourself?
I don't sleep with somebody else.
Okay, so that's ever since this whole time you haven't had anyone to, yeah, and I'm so sorry. I know you talked about when you settle down in one place, they set up camp around you. It's so isolating going through this, and to protect others, you isolate yourself. You talked about that.
Oh yeah, I have left a job and people, you know, relying on me to fulfill an obligation that I had worked out with them. But when all this is going on, I feared for their lives.
Yeah.
I didn't want this to be a contagious situation where, you know, somebody's going to get their clone or astral, you know, molested. I don't want that. And, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. Thank you. I wish there was more that I could do. If anyone knows more about this, is there a way people can contact you through your book, or?
I think it would be better if they contacted you through
Okay.
this video,
Okay,
and then
reach out to
you'll
me.
contact me.
Sure, so SOAR Global, you can
And
find us.
please do, I mean, you know, if you know something.
Yeah, help us out here. We're
Yeah.
just trying to figure out what this is. We're not
Right.
saying we have it all figured out or even accurate, but we know there's something.
Yeah.
So, you know, trying to find gratitude, you know, you suggested that one, even going through all of this, trying to keep your attitude focused on the positive. You know, many targeted individuals complete a suicide like your brother did.
Yeah.
And it's very tragic, and there's nothing written on the on the death certificate about the fact that they were murdered. It's not a classic suicide. It's someone trying to get away. So doing the right thing with you and your highest love, light force, whatever that is. And again, if you know something about it, you can reach out through SOAR Global. Also wanted to just come back to this book by Donald Marshall, because he was writing about not exactly the same things we're talking about today, but some similar things. Like he talks about the stadiums. I've had a very significant memory involving a stadium, although I didn't think that what I saw was clones. I thought they were, real people, but now learning how much clones are real people, like it's not, it's so mind-blowing. And then if I was on drugs, could I really assess, because I was drugged by the cult? So just this is happening to many people. And so Donald Marshall, he writes about, and he has this sense of urgency. And so I want to just read this because it was helpful for me to hear. He says, "This is your only chance to do something to end these monsters. We are on a timeline and there is a deadline. As I have already mentioned, as well as the top scientists in the field of physics and geophysics have mentioned, HARP is not only capable of controlling the weather. Once the HARP grid is completed and working at full power, it will be capable of mind control over entire populations. We will all be slaves to the Illuminati forever." That was his concern. "Our free will be gone forever. Furthermore, if they achieve their aim of time travel with HARP technology, future generations of humanity will never be able to stop them because, as they have told me, quote, they will always be able to go back to a previous time and correct the mistakes which led to their downfall," end quote. "This is the Illuminati's endgame and what they wish to achieve. This is why this disclosure is so heavy and so important. It goes beyond REM-driven cloning, although it is important the world understands REM-driven cloning. The future of humanity is at stake. And because of the 2 to 5 year deadline until HARP grid is completed, it is time humanity stood up and brought an end to the Illuminati. This really is your only chance to end these monsters." He says, this quote by Edmund Burke, "The only way for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing." So this video is an appeal to the good people out there. "Remember, for every 12 months which passes, military concealed technology outstrips the technology the general public is accustomed to by 44 years. So this is a Schneider statement from 95 and 96. So he says, close your eyes and imagine 44 years into the future. And when he wrote this, that would have been 2059. So this was in 2015. It's almost 10 years ago. So we've lost 10 years. What kind of technologies do you expect mankind to have in 2069, we'll say? What kind of technologies does mankind have? You see, it is out of this world technology, right? This is exactly what is going on today, he says in the year 2015. It's just that it's hidden. That's all. Not so difficult to fathom now. So we're trying to bring this out so it's not hidden. He says, do not be afraid to help. We outnumber the Illuminati by 1 million to 1. Now, with all these clones integrated in society, sleeper MK killers, the ratio is not the same now as it was then, I believe, but I do believe there is still time, even with the advanced statement nature of HARP and then Starlink or whatever else is holding that grid in place. So he has a mission and vision on how to bring down the Illuminati. He says, this disclosure must be spread fast and far. If you now understand everything in this document as truth, and we'll say for our video, if you think there could be truth to this, then do not waste any more time. Share this disclosure with your wives, your husbands, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, your uncles, your friends, your co-workers, your children. We all have a part to play in saving the world from a premature doom. Call friends who have not heard from you in a while and tell them you have important news to share. share this document. Now he's talking about his book. Share the video, share it on social media if you can, if it doesn't get taken down. And keep sharing it. And now he talks about bringing it to the attention of the armed forces. And I would say the good armed forces. We have to find people in the military who are still good, because obviously the negative death cult military are seem to be involved in perpetrating this. That's my experience, and that's, you know, what we're talking about. So somehow we have to take over the negative military with the positive kind of grassroots forces, and then we will shut down these cloning centers. The malevolent use of cloning centers absolutely has to be stopped. Anyone who is trapped in the cloning centers can be free, and he has many other suggestions. So, you know, reclaiming technology, science, and medicine which benefit, not enslave mankind. I mean, that's the core. So, in closing, is there anything else you would want to share, especially to anyone?
Don't change it.
Okay.
Another solution is to call on the Christ consciousness.
Mm.
Sometimes it gets real heavy. I've been laying in bed thwarting a attack, and I'm actually shaking because the malevolent force is that strong, and all I have is calling on the Christ consciousness. So please remember, you know, we're not alone. And
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for your bravery,
thank you for
your
doing
generosity.
this.
It's an honor to support you, and thank you for watching. And let's keep holding out a vision for a brighter future where we can sleep easily and freely. And yeah, thank you.